Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we're going over the Quest 3 specs, discussing the uphill battle that Meta faces with the launch of this new headset, and finally, if you should consider buying one. Now, this video does come on the heels of the Apple Vision Pro announcement, but that's not really a Quest competitor, nor is it one of the issues facing this headset's release. Before we do get into those issues though, I would love to hear how you guys are feeling down in the comments right now. Is the Quest 3 a day one buy for you? Are you waiting for Meta to show off more games and AR demos before you make up your mind? Or are you planning to pass on this headset altogether? Now, there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by Dieport. As gamers, we love to show off our tech, and there's nothing better than when it's been customized to our preference. Dieport supplies fully customized, official controllers for all of the major consoles. I picked up a God of War DualSense controller, but you could also get accessories for your PlayStation 4, Xbox One or Series X, and finally the Nintendo Switch. So if you're looking for some customized controllers or accessories, there's a link to Dieport down in the description, and don't forget to use discount code Mateo10 for 10% off and to help support this channel. Okay, so let's start things off with the specs. The Quest 3 will be available this fall for $500. It includes the pancake lens found in the Quest Pro, a brand new second generation Snapdragon XR2 chip, which offers up twice the GPU power of the Quest 2, a 120Hz LCD panel running at 2064 by 2208 resolution per eye, mixed reality capabilities with full color pass-through, and a new depth sensor, and finally a form factor that is 40% slimmer than the Quest 2. Meta has also introduced brand new ringless controllers that, unlike the ones found on the Quest Pro, these don't contain embedded cameras or processing units. Instead, the controllers will still rely on embedded infrared LEDs, but there's also an improved combination of tracking information from accelerometers, gyroscopes, and that new depth sensor. For those of you concerned with the tracking quality, Beat Saber's co-founder, Yaroslav Beck, stated, "It's good, don't worry." So that's basically trust me bro, but from a pretty good source. Now, there's no official numbers regarding the headset's weight or FOV just yet, but supposedly they're very similar to the Quest 2. The FOV may appear larger, simply because the panels will be closer to your face, and reports from third parties state that the Quest 3 is actually slightly heavier than the Quest 2, but more comfortable due to its sleeker design. Now, as great as all of these updates are, I'm not sure they'll be enough to sell this headset for multiple different reasons, starting with the price. At $500, it's relatively cheap for a VR headset, but still priced a bit high from mass adoption. It's in line with the PSVR 2, which still requires a PlayStation 5 to run, but Sony has a different target audience. Additionally, the Quest 3 will offer features not found on the PlayStation VR 2, so the Quest lineup continues to be a great value. But oddly though, unlike when the Quest 2 launched, the previous headset will not be discontinued, and instead the Quest 2 will be discounted to $300. So while Meta doesn't have much outside competition, they'll be competing against themselves, or rather the Quest 2. Now, while that might sound good for Meta, it's actually an issue for multiple reasons, starting with the fact that it forces Meta to prove that the Quest 3 is superior enough to warrant almost double the price tag. You'll need to give consumers a reason to pick the Quest 3 over the Quest 2, as the on-paper stats are meaningless to most consumers, and the average person won't pay $200 for something that's just thinner. For both VR newcomers and those looking to upgrade, Meta needs to show off games with improved graphics, plus AR capabilities that people actually care about. Now, with roughly 4 months remaining from launch, things can still change, but as it stands right now, there are 0 Quest 3 launch titles. They really need to show off that 2x performance increase. No one buys a next-generation console to play last-generation games, and standalone VR is still suffering to be taken serious by the original PC VR crowd. On the same note, Meta needs to make the case for AR and prove it's something that we actually need or want. They have to deliver at least one killer app. Short of doing these two things, there's no reason for newcomers to buy a Quest 3 or for Quest 2 owners to upgrade. After all, their cheaper VR option runs all the same games. And at the same time, this aging mobile tech is a serious double-edged sword for VR right now. In order for VR to progress, we need better mobile hardware, but dropping the previous generation only 3 years in will definitely create some ill will. After almost 10 years of consumer VR now, we can't keep treating people like early adopters. While some studios like Vertical Robot have been able to pull off wonders with Red Matter, overall though, the Quest 2 still struggles to produce decent graphics or higher quality games. Developers like MobX have basically gone as far as throwing the Quest 2 hardware under the bus, stating Everslot Invasion is about the best the hardware can do when I compare their PC Everslot title to the Quest 2's Everslot Invasion. But another great example is the Quest port of Grid Legends, which was a pretty significant downgrade from the original version. And let's also not forget that people are currently up in arms comparing Asgard 1 to Asgard 2. Now, yes, the 4-year-old title does look significantly better, but that's a completely separate conversation. What I want to focus on instead is Meta's strange position that both the Quest 2 and Quest 3 are currently worthy of buying. Could you imagine Sony trying to sell the PlayStation 4 after the PS5 launches? It goes against the whole aspect of wanting your hardware to scale. And this is where we get into Meta's future ambitions and how this decision still doesn't make any sense. When your product sales diminish or your company starts growing, you need to pivot. This is what Meta did with the original Rift product line. Originally, the thought was once better games came to VR, the hardware would sell. But even titles like Asgard's Wrath and Half-Life Alyx all failed to significantly alter the landscape. Now, you can make an argument for Half-Life Alyx, but its impact was not long-lasting. So Meta decided to pivot into making the hardware affordable. 4 years later, and they've sold 20 million units, and their future endeavors go way beyond just gaming. Before we get into that though, I do want to discuss that 20 million units number first. This is definitely a bit misleading. A couple million of those units include the Quest 1, which has been discontinued. It's continuing to lose game support left and right, and it's not receiving any new games. Only a very small percentage of people are continuing to use their original Quest 1, and the Quest 2 is starting to follow in its footsteps. So Meta obviously acknowledges this drop-off and wants to find a way to turn XR into the next computing platform. Meta wants you eventually using a headset instead of a cell phone or a laptop. Now, we're definitely years out from that happening, if it ever will, but Meta had to start somewhere, and it definitely wasn't the Quest Pro. But again, Meta is yet to showcase a killer AR app, or even show us a reason why we really want it. This functionality can end up being like Kinect on the Xbox. A bunch of hardware that's forced on us that we never really wanted, and we had to pay a premium for. Now, before I get into quickly recapping all of those issues Meta is facing, I want to discuss who should consider buying a Quest 3 as of right now. Now, ultimately, it all starts off with, do you have $500 of disposable income? And obviously, opinions can change once this headset has been reviewed, but as it stands right now, the Quest 3 is ideal for someone looking to break into VR for the first time. If you've been eyeballing and considering purchasing the Quest 2, you should definitely wait for the Quest 3. Not only are you future-proofing, but also getting some significant upgrades. Now, the Quest 3 is also an excellent option for someone who loves their Quest 2, but is currently experiencing some type of issue with it. Maybe you find it too uncomfortable for long-term use, your battery no longer holds a good charge, or you have some serious stick drift on your controllers. Rather than buying some accessories or replacement parts, just go ahead and save up for the upgrade. Now, for everyone else though, I think we should just wait and see what Meta does. I'm really hoping they'll be able to wow us with a game or application that takes full advantage of this new hardware. Until then though, what's the real reason to upgrade? Do you really want to spend $500 just to play the same games, which may not even receive any graphical updates? Now, there is an argument to be made about picking up the Quest 3 as a PC VR headset, which it'll most likely be a great option for, but PC VR game development is extremely limited these days. Okay, so let's move on to a really quick recap. The Quest 3 faces a significant uphill battle because it's a lot more expensive than Meta's current headset, and at the same time, they haven't given us a true reason to upgrade or choose the Quest 3 over the Quest 2. There's currently no higher quality or graphically enhanced games being showcased, and AR is still an unproven technology. The VR gaming market may also be tapped out, and the introduction of the Quest 3 brings nothing to entice those who didn't already get a Quest 2. At the same time, the Quest 2 is dropping $100 down to its original $300 price tag, and continuing support for this aging technology is holding VR game development back. It's a double-edged sword that's handcuffing Meta, and they'll need to significantly scale up for XR to ever become the market they envision. So unless they do something truly awesome with AR, or give us some amazing exclusive titles, it's very unlikely the Quest 3 will ever sell as well as the Quest 2. But maybe I'm way off here, guys, so let me know what you think down in the comments.
And that was today's video, brought to you by my dad, Mateo311. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here,
Consider subscribing.
consider
subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
We'll see you guys on next time.
We'll see you guys on next time.